matchup that I didn't get a chance to match earlier is both these teams bring Legion. They both, in their previous matches, brought Legion, and they would do double Legion Ela roams, something that other teams often won't touch, but both these do.
Right.
So I'm curious to see if they're prepared to counter that, or they're prepared to be the only teams doing it. And we already see the Legion Ela coming out here, as well as the Frost. This is obviously a site where Frost makes sense to put on the windows, slow down progressing into a trophy window. This is also a map we've seen previous teams like Nox tend to just throw themselves into windows. Seems to be a little bit more of a Latin American favored strategy. And we've seen a great defense from INTZ from the kitchen when that happens. So I think if Encore tries to push in the windows, in the trophy windows like that, I don't think it's going to work against this team. Obviously, they've got Frost traps and Legion traps to help with that as well, to make it really punishing to try and jump in windows. So it's just going to be a big risk. They've got the Ying, which makes me think they might go for it, right? That's one of the uses, as we saw previously, was tossing those Candelas in the window and just rushing in. And we saw it was a little foolhardy previously. So it's a big risk here, but they could go for it. I mean, they've got a lot of firepower on this team. So I would hope they would go with the top-down take first, though. I think that's the most responsible thing to do. And consider pushing from dining room, like throw some Yings in, or Candelas into the dining room, things like that.
Right. We can already see that the roam from FK1 upstairs, too. And they're going very trap heavy, and I think we're going to get to a point, this is something that Kix and I have spoken about at length, is that I think that there's an opportunity for you at some point to go full trap, especially if Capcan makes it out of TTS with the changes that he has.
Absolutely.
I think that the trap is going to work, and of course, I do think that Frost is not always an operator that is going to be as beneficial as others, but at the same time, to be able to slow them down is one thing, but to counter that, how many times have you seen a successful site hold when they'll just throw themselves in that window through trophy into the waiting arms of the defender's sights, and that's it. You don't really need the Frost map there, but of course it will punish you if at the last second you try to get in. You have to either take the Frost trap or get the frag, because no matter what, you're likely going to go down because that bear trap is going to be waiting underneath you.
Yeah, and it's a situation too where, like, we've seen oh, there we go, some nice kills already coming out, including a C4. So that's the Blackbeard off the board too, as well as the smoke. So this is actually going pretty poorly for both teams, losing some valuable operators.
And Sexy Cake down as well, but losing your smoke when you haven't even gotten past the halfway round, obviously not ideal, and it will rely heavily on the rest of the team to pick this up. It looked like FK took a couple shots.
At least they're being smart and taking a top-down approach here. They're taking their time. Encore tends to drone out a bit, but not going to do any good there when INTZ takes down the Buck. And there's a nice trade, though, by Panico onto Silence.
So a big mistake, sitting prone by that window, and not really a good observation that you were exposed at this point. The push is going to come in. A Capitao Ying together is a fearsome combination, and there goes the Legion, as Panico is going to be able to take Lens down, and it's FK versus GCR, but GCR gets Valve down, and it is 2v2. Diffuser is not down. They'll need to retrieve it at some point. And Panico able to peek. That's a good frag from him onto GCR. And it's him and the Hibana of Vision left against FK, who had taken some damage earlier on, got hit again, and now will be faced with a 1v2 as he looks to regain the site. Vision is going to get the Diffuser off, uncontested. Panico around the corner somehow manages to get a kill onto FK when he looked the other way. And wow, Encore taking round number 1. What a flick that was.
Yeah, that was, he checked one corner. He's like, okay, they're not coming from double door. Flicked around at just the right moment. Had it been a second sooner from that defender, we would have seen him drop. And you saw they were trying to really use the smoke as their cover as much as possible, but all that did was make it so they couldn't find the diffuser once it was dropped. It definitely left them in a bad situation. But you saw what they were trying to do there, just trying to get as much smoke down as possible.
And Valve was trapped outside of that window in Trophy Room as well, tried to come in, get torn to pieces, and some really good pre-firing as well from the defenders to enable them to not get, or sorry, to enable the rest of the defenders to get on site, but ultimately Encore did win that one, and now we go to round number 2. They're going to defend upstairs, or rather on the main floor, in Kitchen Trophy.
Yeah, so looks like they want a main trophy as well, and they're also going to bring Legion, so that's interesting that they want to go with the same approach. Now, the one thing I've noticed is we've seen quite a bit of Legion play in Pro League, but what we haven't seen is how it worked, because we're not able to see necessarily his view in terms of whether or not those traps go off. So it's a situation like we did see one defuse actually fail because of a Legion mine. I think it was from Encore or INTZ previously. They were unable to place the diffuser down because of that goo mine. So we have seen some success with it, but a situation where I think one of the underestimated elements we're not really showcasing is the intel he provides. We have seen sometimes some wall bangs happen from it, it can be a great use, especially on this map, right, where you really want to control a lot of the map, place it on all 3 of the stairs. Now you know if they're going up or down the stairs on a lot of the map, and I think that's definitely an underutilized aspect of it that I think we're probably seeing but not seeing at the same time here.
Right, and I think that one thing that I did want to touch on the last round, oh, what a peek from Sexy Cake. He takes the head off of Silence, and Encore already finds themselves in good position. And it looked like Sexy Cake was going to be able to also get FK1, but decides against this. He almost assuredly would have been out-peaked by that ACOG. But touching on Lesion, a lot of times his traps are a hindrance but not a complete deterrent. But what they do act as is a way for you to know where the push is coming from, right? And I think that's valuable too, is to know, oh, they've hit the goo mine. We know roughly the direction where they're coming. It telegraphs their attack. And you can see here, oh, what a play. Valve gets a beautiful shot onto GCR, and that's another one of the attackers down, both SAS operators, and Sexy Cake tries to go for a second onto Lend, but Lend manages to get away, takes about half of his life. Look at the aggression from Encore here as they peek out the windows.
The C4.
Oh, Panico picks up his 5th kill so far in 2 rounds.
That's a pretty typical Pulse play there, playing in that window. You got to be prepared for that C4 throw out there. FK1, though, with a nice kill. They are just storming in here, trying to pick up what they can left, but they only have 2 attackers. They have some decent firepower, but you're not going to do a whole lot with just a Habana and a Buck against 4. Sure going to try, though.
Panico grabs number 6 as FK goes down on a shot that I don't think FK should have lost, but Panico manages to recover, and you leave the Buck on a 1v4. He's going to get pressured from Panico and will now have to escape into the comfort of that wine cellar. Big order ahead of him, and a grid grenade if Panico doesn't move, and what a miss, but he manages to finish up at the tail end of his clip onto Vision before he is now at 1 health, and Panico's going to go for lucky number 7, but oh, Ninja steals that kill, and INTZ still alive. Now Valve is going to push up, but his luck runs dry as Valve gets kill number 2, and Encore goes up 2-0.
I'm surprised he was even able to pull off that 1 kill with Buck there. That pixel peek is not a great thing for the C8. The recoil being so strong, you got to really tap fire those pixel peeks. And you saw it go out of control, hit the wine barrel. He was able to get 1 lucky kill, but I don't think he was going to be able to win all of those fights. It was a great try, but Encore, though, coming on strong here, and INTZ not changing up their sight. Now, doing it a second time is fine. You want to try and show up what you did wrong. If they lose it again this time, I really hope they would change it to the garage and maybe do something a little bit different, because they know Encore can be a strong 5-0 team. You don't want to keep making the same mistakes over and over.
And INTZ, of course, losing their first defense, they can go anywhere. They're going to opt for Trophy and Kitchen. Again, not too much of a surprise. They will rely less on traps this time as well, but still stick with the Lesion, as was mentioned by yourself at the start of the cast. For Encore now, though, of course, they will have to go downstairs. We're in a position now, Panico sitting at 6 kills, topping the scoreboard. The rest of INTZ, or Encore rather, I keep wanting to call ENC, but then there's INTZ beneath it, so my apologies if anybody gets tripped up. But Encore right now, Panico doing a fantastic job, and the rest of the team providing that support where needed. If you are Encore at the moment, how do you go about attacking this site a second time now that it's less reliant on traps? I would argue that this might be a more successful hold just because I'm not a huge proponent of that Frost play. I think that they're going to get more mileage out of what they have right now, especially by running a Bandit. But with that said, if you're Encore, how do you make sure that this round goes the same way? Because when you go downstairs, it's a less assured that you're going to be able to hold that, and they obviously want to put themselves up by as much of an advantage until then as possible.
I mean, it's surprising they never bring a Thatcher or anything like that, because obviously it's useful outside of just the traps, but knowing that they run Lesion, that could be more useful. Say you want to push those double doors into the dining room, it's a situation where you want to be able to clear those double doors because you need to push in fast. Let's say you smoke, you don't want to be walking right into a goo mine as you're trying to make that push happen. Situation, you need to be able to clear that. Perhaps they can just grenade the double door area, and that'll be a situation where they clear it. They've got Buck. They've got his grenades, for example, so they can do that. It's a situation where you still want to take the top-down control. You see Vision doing that already, right? You want to establish that. They need to clear the roamers because they know they're bringing Ella and Lesion, and those typically will be played in a roamer fashion, if not at least just Ella. So they need to really be prepared to clear those out and work that top-down. So it's a situation where I think they can do that. They proved they did that last round. So I really think INTZ is going to need to be better prepared to actually pinch and crossfire them as they come into it instead of just trying to play it fast and loose upstairs.
And I like that Encore is also eschewing the typical top 5 operators that we see. Right now, the only one that's in there for this region is Vision's Hibana. All the rest are a little outside of what we typically see from Latin America teams so far this season. And the Capitao Ying didn't prove to be as effective at all. He Blacks kills himself on what it looked like he was able to get his grenade away. Another student of the King Leo School of Grenades.
I think a Canadian being the mentor of that one right there. That was a nice one. Oh, and Valveris taking down Lend.
Valve, yes, getting that kill to put us back at a 4v4. That's the Legion down.
I never seen him win a gunfight, I'll be honest. The peek out earlier is the only time I've seen a Legion win a gunfight this season. I may have missed 1 or 2, but his traps better be useful because we're not seeing it from his gun.
Right, and Sexy Cake being able to do that in the last round, but now they're going to rely on the intel that they have. You can see some good Valkyrie cameras in position. Still some roam game from INTZ left as we are under the 1 minute mark.
There's a good use of that bandit there, potentially taking that down with that 1 tick, assuming that wasn't just shot midair. But it looks like they're slowing down quite a bit at the last 45 seconds here. They've got some manpower, and then Claymore doing some work.
Oh, that smoke getting real cheeky there by Panico, but it's going to be a refrag from FK as now Sexy Cake goes down, and GCR adds to that by taking out Valve. So you have the Capitao and the Hibana left against 3. GCR is going to come in, but Silence gets the frag onto Panico, and Vision's going to scramble to get back on site. He's going to get hit by that shock wire, take a little bit of damage, run into the crossfire, and Silence makes it easy and gets another, and INTZ finally finds themselves on the board, still down 2-1.
I feel like Encore lost that mostly because they lost map control and knowledge of where the players were at. They got in situations where you saw him get killed in Fireplace, and you should have known there was someone in there. Obviously, that's the fast roamer, Ella coming in behind him. So you need to be in a situation where you started to see them lose drones. They started stalling out an attack. Then they started dying. And then you saw them start to panic because they saw there's only 30 seconds left. Without that map control, everyone just collapsed on them with the crossfires. Exactly what I was saying they needed to do, which is pull it back a little bit more towards site, set up those crossfires, deny that intel, and then get them as they push in, because you know they're going to be confident once they have that top control, and that's exactly what happened there.
Right, I wonder how much the Buck also revolved. Like, iBlack's killing himself with his frag grenade. I wonder how much control, because it did look like he was heading downstairs, which would have given them that pressure from different angles and made it so that INZ, or INTZ rather, wouldn't have been able to roam on the first floor with the same amount of confidence because they would have worried about what was beneath them. Adding that pressure would have cleared out Kishin potentially, or been able to flush out Trophy Room depending on how they wanted to use the Buck. We didn't really get to see much out of it, and as it stands right now, INTZ was able to capitalize on that miscue, and now 1 round closer to tying it up as Encore needs to defend basement.
And that's INTZ taking advantage of something they didn't even do themselves, but
right.
Obviously you got to capitalize on every advantage you get. I like the little creative barbed wire placement there. But yeah, they're forced to switch sites now, so this is going to be a question of, are they as good on this side as they are on the trophy site? So this could be an opportunity for INTZ to get a comeback round again, continue the momentum, and then maybe swing it back, maybe even play Garage themselves because they won their trophy site. So could be a situation where we see things swing, but they can't let that overconfidence of capitalizing on Buck's mistake get to their head.
Right, and I mean, we've seen teams be able to punish those that make mistakes and take themselves out of the fight somewhat unwillingly. It's unfortunate for teams to do this, but of course a bounce back is possible, and that's what Encore is looking to do now as we tick past the 30-second mark into round number 4. INTZ already inside the building, establishing control in Trophy Room and looking to try to hunt the roamers down as the Blackbeard of Ninja does get a drone escort in that main garage.
So they do have a Thatcher here, but they're not bringing any kind of thermite or anything to open up the main garage. It looks like they're just bringing the Hibana around to open up the wine cellar and just going for a straight push from there. Personally, I'm always a big fan of doing it via the pinch. Puts a lot more pressure on their positioning. It makes it a lot easier to get these shots that Ninja's trying to get right now, because right now they could just hide. They have no pressure from the other side. So he's just trying to tease out Vision at this point. Vision, I don't think, is going to be baited out so easily, but you never know. He might just stand up at the wrong moment there right into Ninja's shots.
Ninja getting some suppressing fire down as Valve using the cover of his smoke to rotate. Something that you'll see from time to time. Some people might say, oh, that's an early smoke. One thing that does get lost is that sometimes you can use the cover of that smoke to be able to push around and through to other ways. We've seen teams use it to choke off a point and allow them to get back on defense, or to get back onto site on defense.
This is where things start falling apart, though, once they take out that mirror window right there. Oh, there's INTZ pulling off a successful grenade this time. So that's a good start for them. Taking down that smoke. So as you said, he used one for cover, but not going to get to use the other two to stall out this attack.
Panico, a great shot there to puncture that rifle shield of Blackbeard. And now Panico, who's given his position away, is going to get picked away at. He peeks out, but right now, as it stands, Ninja not able to get those shots. He's a couple of hits away as Panico and him will duel. just inside of that hallway.
Oh.
GCR gets kill number 2 now on Vision as INTZ is securing their position in the site. Smoke's going down to provide them that cover, and another grenade primed and ready. Good thing he had that lined up before being completely blinded. It could have hit the doorway and ended up taking him out. Now, if Iblax peeks around that corner, Silence is ready. Oh, as Panico takes out Landon, now Sexy Cake adds to it by taking GCR, and Panico goes for a kill, manages to get it on a Ninja, so INTZ after a strong start, now at a 2-2. However, Diffuser is down, and you can see in that corner, Sexy needs to be picked back up.
Now they have the advantage of the drop down as well as a pinch from the garage here. This is going to be really hard to pick up unless they bait Silence out, take him out first. Otherwise, getting FK1 is going to be very difficult.
And FK is just waiting for that audio cue. Panico, a good shot. Silence does get baited out. What a Claymore from Silence, and he goes for Panico. He gets the clutch, and INTZ ties it up in round number 4.
I feel like that Claymore saved the day for them right there. That was definitely still kind of going in the favor of them. You saw just some great plays collapsing at the end there. They had such a great attack, pushing into Wine Cellar, but then they lost it. That's the problem with those Candelas, is they are great in that you don't blind yourself, but all your teammates, you're throwing 5 flashbangs into a room. Your teammates in there, you really need to properly call that out ahead of time. As you said, he could have almost dated himself on that wall there, so you got to be very careful, and I think that's what slowed down their attack. Blackbeard lost his momentum as well. He wasn't flashing because they were depending on the Candelas, whereas Blackbeard's flashes, I think, would have been a little more well-directed to that corner where we saw the bandit sitting. That could have been a lot stronger of a push rather than just trying to blind the whole room and then blinding your teammates, so it accomplished nothing because then Ying was the only one that could push.
Right, and when Panico rounded that corner too, I think he was expecting the Hibana of FK to be at the bottom of the stairs, hugging a tight angle on the wall with the ability to shoot through that wall and into, of course, that wine stock room. But he was on the stairs, which wasn't something that he anticipated, and it was very easy for FK to secure that kill. Didn't really have much of a contest in doing so. And 2 really strong rounds from INTZ. Panico still doing a tremendous job, but the rest of the team right now desperately need to be able to pick up that slack.
Yeah, and we're seeing our first Glass here, so they're definitely trying to change things up just a little bit. Encore not needing to change it up terribly, but they did get that momentum we were talking about. INTZ now took 2 rounds in a row. Encore's going to be a little more worried because this was INTZ's map previously, as I said. So they've got to think, okay, were we doing the right thing? Did we just lose that because of some misplays? We're going to bring this Glass this time, really bring some firepower on attacking because we know they're going garage. So the question is, how are they going to use that? Are they going to use it from garage, like the car garage, down that long angle that we saw Blackbeard using? Or are they going to try and pressure from outside Snowmobile? They didn't bring a thermite or anything, so that says to me, like, probably going to see it from car garage. But there is that Legion again, so we'll see if that actually slows them down at all. Because
hasn't
if
so far.
Yeah, if they push from Wine Cellar, it's a little more predictable with some tight tunnels right there. That's a little more useful than, say, upstairs, where you don't necessarily know where they're going to attack from, other than maybe Master. So this will hopefully be a little more useful, but obviously it's predictable. FK1 roaming upstairs, it's going to be what you're going to expect. It's not going to be too crazy, but it is hard unless they go to pinch save from Library and Master at the same time, like you would when you're typically attacking Trophy. Thankfully, it looks like they're doing that right now.
GCR is going to take some damage, as you can see. Encore take possession of that second floor and wait to try to find the Ella of FK, who has smartly gotten out of dodge.
So things slowing down a bit here now, though. Defenders, though, got to be smart and not overextend themselves, take advantage of the time burning out here. Obviously, Panico being a Glass not going to push in super heavy, but the rest of the attackers, you're going to see probably the Ash push in pretty aggressive along with the Twitch.
And burning a lot of time trying to hunt roamers, and you can see how mobile INTZ is being too. They're making it a priority to keep moving, which is something that they're not really going to allow Encore to find them and try to force a gunfight. Instead, Encore now is going to try to pressure in through blue there to try and get inside, or at least towards the site, and FK has managed to safely get on site as Vision gets kill number 1 onto Silence, and Encore needed that in order to try to regain what they had in the first 2 rounds.
I'm telling you, Vision's a great Thatcher. Proving it here. That's a good start on there. So they got that garage open. That's something that I was saying that probably INTZ should have done. I mean, they managed to win that round, but I think we're probably going to see a bit more pressure here from Encore, especially with that Glass going to be a force to reckon with from the outside.
Now Sexy's going to be able to push up as well. Now that Silence is down, the only one that was watching blue is FK, and he's still there, but Sexy Cake is waiting smartly for the push. Ninja halting them by that mirror. And Valve takes a look through that open hole. The downside of not running a Thermite is that you're going to get stalled out here, and we hit 40 seconds on the clock. Sexy Cake gets the LFK. He gets hit by that concussion mine, but is able to still pick up the frag. Huge for his team as they are now at a 5v3, and they'll open up a hole that they can vault through or walk through as Valve is going to get inside. Ninja is at that mirror hatch and drops the hole, but you can see Valve will put his back up to it. Oh, Vision, a good pressure on Ninja. That was fantastic coordination. Len gets a kill before getting dropped by Panico, and the only one left is GCR, who gets a beautiful deagle kill. And in the midst of smoke, the moment that he goes to push out, Valve will be able to capitalize. They are going to try to get that defuse down in the corner. Sexy Cake in the prone position. And once that diffuser goes down, this job for INTZ is going to become a lot more difficult as only a third of the health remains. Gets harassed by that Twitch drone, pushed out, and a great cleanup from Blacks as Encore finally manages to stop the losses that they had and go up 3-2.
So not a big surprise there. They definitely had a solid attack right there. It was exactly what they needed to do. I mean, I like Sexy Cake's push from the blue stairs because pushing into there put on a lot of additional pressure onto that mirror that was trying to guard the garage door that they were trying to push through. So by getting that kind of two-direction distraction there, they were able to finally open that garage, push in, and collapse. And I imagine there was some action going on that we weren't even seeing on the wine cellar side as well. We saw that as well as the hatch above. So they just had a great collapse at the end. Took them a little while, but they were doing the droning that they should be doing, and that's why that worked. They knew where everyone was positioned at. They didn't overextend themselves and get shot from the back. And it worked. I mean, they lost maybe a few too many gunfights in there, but in the end, that doesn't matter if you win the round.
And when Valve was able to get that open, come inside of the main snowmobile garage and start to push up towards that mirror wall that was in wine cellar staring at the snowmobile garage door, I was almost certain that when the mirror of Ninja popped it, Valve was going to be in trouble. But it was Vision who came from behind and put pressure to force Ninja to turn around. And that when Valve was able to get into safety and Vision was able to get the frag onto Ninja, that was a great play and good coordination, because if you play that even a second or two too late, it's Valve who goes down, and Ninja is still able to now rotate and take that gunfight on. And even if he loses, you've still traded and taken the Hibana out in the process. And of course, it was Valve who was able to push all the way up and apply pressure onto the Valkyrie of GCR.
And you also saw it, even that was so tight, they were almost shooting each other in the head near that mirror window as they pushed in from the garage door. So it was definitely like really tense. You got to time this right, not just in how you attack them, but in how you don't shoot each other in the back of the head.
Of course.
So it was good attack. But now they're actually going to be pushing over here onto the trophy again. So the garage is out. Sexy Cake, though, already with a nice kill on the sledge.
It's the second time he's done that.
Yeah, he's doing some work with that. That's what I'm saying. That Legion Gun's only working there. Thanks to the lighting changes, though. I got to give credit to that. It's the only reason he's able to get those peek outs with that hollow sight. And he tries again, but gets too greedy. FK went with a nice punish. But it still hurts losing that sledge. Losing those grenades on a map like this, on an attack like this. And then there goes the Hibana, too.
They're smothering
a lot of utility down. This is not a good round for INTZ. This is looking like it's heading in the direction of match point. I mean, Sexy did get one, but before getting killed, and Legion probably wasn't going to affect the match a whole lot at that point, so they've got the more important defenders left. Surprised we don't see Panico in the kitchen again for that C4, but he's just working the dining for right now, getting an idea if they're pushing fireplace side. They're going to decide if they want to do this Candela attack. Looking like Len might want to go for it. At least opening the window for it in preparation. But there goes another kill onto Ninja. Down to the last two, a Thatcher and a Candela here. We're going to see some little canisters thrown out, but not a whole lot of gunplay yet.
I'm surprised. One thing that we haven't seen a lot of from the teams is Candela's used through destructible environments. Silence gets a frag onto Vision to try and even it out, but it is still a disadvantage for INTZ as they are down 2v3. Valve is going to peek around the corner and manage to win due to the low fire rate of that LMG from Lend, and now Panico gets the follow-up with that C4, and Silence is the last one left, holding diffuser, but completely on an island miles away from the OBJ with just over a minute left.
Moment of silence for him. He's got to find three. Not looking good. Now, Panico actually surprisingly rotating upstairs. Now, the smoke is low on health, so he does have a chance to land that kill. I like this little trick there, just in case it catches him through it, but not looking good. Oh.
Wow, Panico manages to snag a kill on Silence in a ballsy fashion, and now they're up 4-2.
So that was definitely another Encore round through and through. Obviously, Sexy Cake didn't need to get that peek out early on, but getting that kill on the sledge was a great way to just decimate whatever morale they had left. And then Hibana getting killed after that, it was like, I can't imagine they had much motivation left to even finish that round at that point. Sure, they tried, but And something you mentioned, I think it's still worth bringing up. I know you guys have talked about it a few times, but when you have that Candela, this is a map where Fuse gets played. This is a map where it makes sense to hit that Candela from above. I remember a long time talking to Snake Nate, actually it was, who was saying the best way to cover a Fuse cluster charge is to hit it with a flashbang first. What better flashbang than a Candela in the whole room? Not to mention, you've got these interesting choke points between the trophy room and that hallway right there that goes to West Lobby. You hit that point, and it's going to possibly spread out into that whole choke point. Then people can't come in from kitchen to reinforce the person in trophy, hit the person in trophy as well. So there's some good possibilities there, and we're just not seeing them use those without top-down control.
No, and the other thing, too, is that think about the way that we see the grenade operators get played. Your IQ, your Buck, and your Sledge. Not so much Buck because he's usually employed on either being upstairs or downstairs, but you typically will break open that window in trophy room and you'll throw a grenade, usually either behind the bomb site if somebody's playing tight behind bomb site B, or you'll toss it in towards the hallway to try to flush them out. That'll mean that unless you're sitting inside a kitchen or you're from above, it's going to be very difficult for you to maintain control of that room because you're going to have to rotate from those frags. And they just didn't have that opportunity because Sledge went off the board so quickly. And one thing that both these teams are using very, very well that we do see on Chalet, but maybe not as often as this match, is the Valkyrie cams used to get those early picks. It's, of course, a high risk, high reward, but there's been an awful lot of peeking from these teams so far.
So many trees to hide them in.
Right. And that's just something that doesn't, you see it from teams for one round or two, but it seems like it's a constant theme so far in this match.
I think, especially with the lighting changes, people are just getting more and more bold with that.
Right.
So it's a good situation to do it. We see Vision possibly just trying to clear out all the Jaeger ADSs there. That's something that we're seeing more and more of now that people are figuring out they need to get rid of those. But Jaeger just hasn't even been seeing much play. So it's a situation where they didn't even bring him. So it didn't necessarily do a whole lot. Maybe it would have hit someone for some damage potentially.
Unless they just hadn't identified everybody or made a call that, hey, there's a Jaeger, when in all reality there isn't. But of course those X-Kairos are able to take out the ADS so quickly. And this is what Bucks should be doing. And one thing that I think Blacks was deprived of doing when he naded himself is playing underneath the objective and being able to get that destruction. And I don't know how Sexy Cake misses GCR.
Forgot to click mouse
rotates.
1 there.
And just that could have been a very easy kill, but of course getting spotted. Notices that there is obviously a camera outside somewhere, but isn't able to find it just yet.
Now they're really getting stalled out on this outside here. They're having trouble pushing in because of that Valkyrie cameras, for example, outside. Panico, though, taking down Ninja is a good start on getting in. They've got the smoke down, so that's a little bit of area denial down, but they still got to worry about Legion traps. They've still got to worry about Ella on the roam, and they know Valkyrie's going to be playing near sight, but there goes a nice kill back the other way onto the Ying. So that's a good start for them. They know that's going to be part of the spearhead of the attack.
Right, and you've lost your smoke too. Now Lend is going to be able to grab a kill onto Panico as Panico takes down FK. So immediate refrags as it's a 3v3. Vision still does hold that diffuser, and they're going to scramble to get onto site. That is a sad situation as to Ying's corpse on that window ledge. And now Sexy Cake doing some droning, discovers the operators in sight. Now Silence at some point will need to get flushed out from below. Can see that he's getting torn apart from the Buck from beneath, and that is exactly what you should be doing with that Canadian operator.
Yeah, that's what you were talking about earlier, for sure. That is the use of Buck in clearing out that trophy room. It is risky, though. The holes in the floor go both ways, and I've seen a lot of kills on Buck that way, but Sexy drop it in, just massacre him.
Dispatches Lend. It's going to be a 1v2. It's all up to GCR. If he fails, then Encore takes map number 1, and then we'll go to border, and he's got a tall task. The moment he moves from that door frame, Sexy Cake is going to be there holding an angle. The Valcam able to spot both of them. He's going to need to go for a mean jiggle peek, but the defuse will go down in the back of Trophy from iBlacks, and now GCR is going to have to try to rotate. He does have that rotate hole, but Sexy Cake lands his shots, and Encore takes it in round number 7. To win round number 1, or map number 1, 5-2.
And that's an unfortunate situation, trying to be in those clutch situations with that MPX at that long range like that. That is a clear disadvantage because he's got to hit the head. And it's a situation where he almost hit some of those headshots, but he's just not doing near enough damage to actually finish the kills. And that left him, that was the second time we saw him trying to clutch and just not being able to do it. I feel bad for GCR because I don't think he put himself in those situations, but he sure tried. But man, Panico, just lighting it up this time. We hadn't seen that many kills from Panico in the past. I think he was taking him away from the rest of the team there. Yeah,
Absolutely incredible showing, and it was quite a feat from this team, but Panico had a couple good rounds, and there's really only one round that I think that INTZ didn't deserve, and this could have been over a round sooner, and that was, of course, when iBlacks was able to get that frag on himself. Yeah. Very unfortunate. Stalled out completely, and it was a difficult opportunity for Encore to be able to find their footing from that point forward.
And this is the map that INTZ was, obviously favoring, I think, a little bit hopeful that they would be able to get an early advantage on, letting Encore pick it like, okay, cool, this is a map we know, this is a map we're willing to play. And then that's going to be, morale boosting there, or decimating for sure, getting kind of dropped pretty heavy on that map.
Yeah, it was not as close of an affair as I think we anticipated, and especially the community too. And now Border is up next, and INTZ will need to try to find some magic on those halls of Border that they weren't able to find on Chalet. A couple miscues. I found that INTZ's roam game was not particularly daunting for Encore. They were able to flush them out very quickly.
Yeah.
And Lend himself, who roamed as the Legion, seemed to try to overcommit too many times. And he lost his life on a number of opportunities where I think he could have played it safe and made a difference as the clock ticked down. But when you're dying in the first minute as a roamer over and over again, yes, your job is to waste time, but your job is not to die that early on, and that's something that they will need to tighten up.
Yeah, I love Legion, but I don't think we're really seeing the full impact. It is far from the first time I've seen him be the first one to die over and over. This has been kind of a repeating pattern, and it is an unfortunate result of him just not having the power with that gun, just pushing out, like you said, aggressively too soon, as opposed to when he's a duo with Ella or someone like Jaeger roaming upstairs, or even Bandit. It's a situation where they're got the superior firepower. He needs to just be baiting them out at that point, even not even engaging in gunfights, because he's just losing them time and time again. And maybe even using those goo traps as he kind of baits, like breadcrumb style, to himself, and then calls out for that flank. And that's something that we've seen success with. We saw, some great play from Sexy Cake on Legion, for example. He wasn't losing as many of those gunfights, still losing a few, but it was clearly just not working as a roam player. He almost needs to be maybe just playing closer to sight and taking advantage of those charges.
Yeah, and I would even argue that maybe Legion hasn't found his place yet, and you could substitute him for another operator to greater success. And we'll look to Border to see if anything is going to change between Encore and INTZ, or whether this is going to be a very quick 1 and 2. Encore takes map number 1, and to Border we go for the second.
So this is also a map like Coastline we haven't seen either of these teams play on yet, so we don't necessarily know where they stand on it. I mean, yeah, we could look back at their previous seasons and stuff like that, but things change so much, so drastically. But they are going to, of course, start upstairs, right? You're going to see more and more, most teams start upstairs, but we have seen quite a few teams this season actually pick some off-sites as their starting ones, so not too much of a surprise to see Arsenal and Lockers first.
No,
but,
not at all.
I mean, obviously, the Glass being brought out for it is a good choice here. So I don't think that they were really caught off guard on the attack here for this particular bomb site. I think they kind of expected this. This is not like a Tellers all of a sudden or anything like that.
Right. Or even which we've actually seen a surprising amount of play, like, of course, was mentioned in an earlier broadcast, popularized by Penta, but the customs as well hold, which we've seen a couple times. But INTZ at this moment, I think when you're in an opportunity such as this, and if you're down, 4v2 and nothing has been working, that's your opportunity to take chances. But this is a different game. This is a different map. You should be able to play stronger on this one than you did on the last one, and it's an opportunity for you to regain the confidence that you as a team should have, knowing that you've made it to this point. So I don't think going cutesy right off the hop is a wise idea, and now we see that INTZ is going to go with Old Familiar. And of course, the mirror there to give them control of that hallway is going to be pretty sensible and very standard.
I would like to see Len switch over from someone besides Legion, just because it's not working, not because I think it's a bad idea, but it's clearly not working for him. There's got to be a better operator on defense he could be playing. He could be bringing those Jaeger ADSs. Even if he dies, he's going to prevent a lot of grenade kills.
Right.
That's still something that would be much more useful, not to mention the barbed wire. So it's a situation where I think he's kind of wasting his life and utility away, and that's hurting the team as a whole. Whereas FK1's picking things up a little bit more on his roam play, and GCR being stuck kind of left on site after he gets those cameras up. So it's a question, are they going to give up CCTV here, or is FK1 going to be able to hold it out? Because it looks like probably going to go for a CCTV A push. Although they could be rotating now. See some of them playing for the office side.
And one thing I've noticed with INTZ or INTZ is that they haven't changed much. Other than the Frost to Bandit change, it's basically been the same thing over and over, and I'm surprised that they have been so inflexible on their operator picks, because, a good kill from Silence, though, as he's able to get out and take Valve down, and that is your Thermite. You still have the secondary hard breacher of Hibana, so not completely catastrophic, but not good nonetheless, because it's going to make it a lot more difficult for you to take that armory wall without those exothermic charges.
It's definitely going to make them have to decide which way they want to push, because you can't push both sides now for sure. And if it's a situation where you want to push, for example, into the office side, you might have to use the window as well, because if you use 2 to open the wall, then you only have 1 left to try and get that mirror window that's usually up in the offices, and that's risky to only have 1 left to do that in case they bandit trick it or something like that. Silence, though, with a nice kill. Start on iBlacks. They're really actually slowing down Encore a little bit here. Maybe this is a map that INTZ was a little more prepared for. It was their pick. So maybe we're speaking too soon in terms of what they've got in store for defense, or maybe they're just catching Encore off guard in terms of the way they're playing it. But there's a nice frag back there from Encore, taking down the roam, and that is going to mean CCTV might be right for the taking.
Ninja peeks around the corner. Sexy Cake grabs his 2nd kill, and what we are seeing that Encore isn't doing right now is they don't have that Ash beneath. Obviously, of course, Blacks is off the board, but you typically see maybe a Jackal, maybe an Ash, maybe a Buck, and Vision is now going to pincer into Silence, and you can see he's very low on health as Sexy Cake picks up his 3rd kill onto Len. So every single kill for Encore so far from the Twitch of Sexy Cake. And wow, GCR manages to pick off Vision from below, but Sexy Cake gets his 4th! He's 1 away, and all it is Silence versus 2. It's him versus Panico, and he's going to need to get on site. 10 seconds left. Diffuser going down. Sexy Cake gets the plant off, and Silence has his work cut out for him. Now that Miro will work against him as he tries to get in. Is he going to give Sexy Cake the opportunity to grab the final kill around the bomb site? He'll go. Panico steals it away. No ace for Sexy Cake, but still a 4K in round number 1, and we were giving commendation to how well INTZ was playing, but Encore manages to firm it up, largely off the back of their Twitch.
Yeah, that's the last person you want to try and clutch against is a Glaz, that it could just spot you, this bright yellow spot. He's trying to be sneaky up against that yellow bomb, but it's just a different yellow and clearly worked against him. I feel like Encore almost lost that round without Sexy Cake because they were trying to execute a strat. They started losing men that were part of that strat, that thermite, and then it looked like they just didn't know how to adapt yet. Now, I don't expect that amount of fumbling going into the next time something like that happens with them. It was the first round. They were just kind of like, okay, oh, we messed it up a little bit. Sexy Cake, that's fine. I'll kill 4 of them. We'll be fine. We'll take this. And he did. And he almost lost his life to that C4. Killed him just as the trigger was about to be pressed. So it was close for him. But you know what? It doesn't matter. Close is good enough because he did clearly win that round for them. And that's what we're expecting. Hopefully the rest of the team, I mean, Panico stepped up big time last time. It wasn't all Sexy Cake. But I imagine he'll step up on border, or continue to, rather. As we are, looks like going to be playing with INTZ. Are they down in the ventilation room, or are they upstairs in Arsenal?
Encore does appear to be downstairs on the main floor, which is not, no, they are upstairs.
Okay,
It's a very heavy defense coordinated downstairs right now. The scoreboard was up for quite a while and obscured what we could see.
Vent setup, which is surprising. They're doing kind of a vent setup for guarding down underneath. Oh, it looks like they just want to prevent like the Ash hit from underneath or something like that. But they aren't bringing an Ash on the enemy team, so it'd be more like they're not even bringing a Buck. And the Sledge can't sledge upwards.
Absolutely. So. iBlacks has been the primary Buck player so far in this game, and right now we haven't really seen INTZ running that Buck the way they need to. And of course with Border, one of the most common strategies is you take your Buck, you sit under that armory wall, you Buck up, potentially flush the bandit out if he's looking there to bandit trick. If there's a mirror window there, you flush that out too. You can potentially open that up, you can get the bandit charges. It's very easy as long as you don't get contested on the bottom. That's why a lot of teams will run the pulse to try and counter that. And you could see another, wow.
Sexy Cake just not making this easy for them.
No,
taking out their sledge there. That's some definite grenades they're going to need off the board because they're going to need those to try and clear out some of these rooms. But is there 3 people downstairs on defense, it looks like?
That's a very defense-heavy strategy, and I like this because on Border, the way that this site will play out often is that you will have a heavy presence of 1 or 2 on the bottom floor. If Encore is able to steal a kill or 2 away from that, there's not really much use of the remaining 3 operators playing downstairs. You can see that they're not going to get much out of that 1x Kairos as they just get 2 little peek holes, but FK sustains some damage from Blacks or iBlacks.
Really turning this around on him. He thought he could open up that wall, then just the soft walls are really problematic like that. Something you got to think about. iBlacks clearly has a strategy here for holding this door from that angle. It's working out, hanging out downstairs, because you'd think they would have been pinched out by now in that other window over there, but nope.
Unable to dislodge the Ella from Customs, iBlacks is going to get a frag onto Len 4, and that means that 2 members of INTZ are down now as Encore looks to be starting as strong this round as they did the last one, and now iBlacks will grab another onto FK1, and it is 5v2. Encore wants to put this away.
This downstairs defense is decimating them. They're just not prepared. The people upstairs just at this point probably just hanging out on their phones, not even having to do anything. It's just Panico and iBlacks here just wiping out the whole team from downstairs. Ooh, looks at him, but it's too late.
Sexy Cake and iBlacks in a frenzy, and iBlacks gets kill number 3. All it took was those 2 members of Sexy Cake and iBlacks to get those frags, and of course it was very easy for them to sit on their phone and live tweet the round as the anchors and the support players or the flex players weren't even necessarily needed there.
I like how Panico was baiting out those shots too on these servers. They're just dancing back and forth, teasing us, almost getting headshot. Didn't need to fire back because you know what? He had iBlacks covering his back.
Right.
Totally did a fantastic job. Great teamwork, and that's why that worked, because they worked together as a team downstairs. And you said Sexy Cake as well, working his way from upstairs. It was just... That was a very unexpected but very effective defense, and I think it caught us clearly by surprise.
Right, and now we have just the Thermite. So you saw last time with Encore, they lost their Thermite really early, but they still had the Hibana. This time, you don't have that room for error because you just have the Thermite. Still tons of destructibility. You have, of course, 4 smokes on the board. You have all of those flashbangs as well from Ash. And, of course, from Ying, who brings both of them. And I really do have to say, I'm not entirely certain why they have not instructed Len to switch off of that Legion. The gunplay is not working the way they need it to. He's only gotten 1 early frag as Legion. If you're going to be roaming and doing your best to ensure that you're getting kills as well as wasting time, that's not good enough. And number 2, with how quickly he's dying, the way that the goo traps work, building up over time, you've got to think maybe 2, maybe 3 of them are down, and that's it. And 3 goo traps, it's not going to be enough to deter people from making a push, and you could definitely get more mileage out of, say, a Jaeger, which I actually don't think we've seen a Jaeger so far from these 2 teams.
Yeah, it's a situation where he needs to be playing on site if he's going to be doing anything, because he's not working as an effective bait. He's not working as an effective roamer. Like you said, he's getting killed too early to even get those 7 traps. So he's just kind of off the board early with a gun that's mostly useless and doesn't do any early setup other than contributing to reinforcements. So it's a situation where he's just not doing much bang for his buck. Easily should be a switch off here, but it makes me think Lent maybe doesn't have a secondary main character to play as. I think he just isn't prepared to do anything else. And this could be part of the downfall of INTZ today. This could be where they go back to Challenger League, or relegations at least, and think maybe we should play someone else.
Right. Because to the best of my knowledge, it was they got 2 outs. They've yet to win a map so far, if my memory serves me correctly. Yep. But given the composition of the attackers, they're not going to be playing a vertical, or they're not going to be playing a vertical game. iBlack's going to rush right in and pick off Silence. And that is the Bandit who was playing upstairs in office, guarding that mirror panel with the Bandit trick on it, or the mirror window, rather.
I bet they wish they had a Hibana now, though.
Absolutely. But this looks like it's going to be an armory or an office take, especially now that they've established Panico up in the typical Blackbeard spot. We don't see as much Blackbeard anymore, but having somebody there to stand as a guardian over top of that window and be able to look, Lenda's going to try to out-peek him, and wow, Lend almost does it. But what an incredible frag from Valve. A team effort as now Sexy Cake is going to get one onto FK. And you can see there enormous damage done to the Ying of Valve. And it is Panico going down to Ninja, but that wall will blow and his position will be known. He's going to go for Vision. Can't do it. It's just 1 left in GCR. How many times have we seen this? We are just past half of the way of the round. That's C4 on a Hail Mary, as now the Valkyrie will have to try and establish some control. iBlacks comes in and drops shots, but gets the final frag, the first and the last. And Encore is up 3-0.
I almost feel with all these clutch situations GCR's in, maybe he needs to be a little more aggressive in playing, maybe more of a roam role, because we see him trying to play this flexible movement when he's in the clutch situations, but it's too late in the round. I think maybe he could be using those cameras a little bit more flexibly, maybe roaming around a little bit more, because they're clearly not good on the roam, right? The Legion's not working on the roam, the L's getting picked off half the time. Maybe if they had the Valkyrie in the room as well, they'd be able to pick up some more of these kills, or at least delay them or bait them enough to have those L get those kills, take off the Legion, have him play something more useful like Jaeger, and I think they could pick this up. I think they have some potential for it. They just need to make some shuffles, because they've shown some of it, but watching GCR fail these clutches over and over, watching Legion die over and over on Lend is just, I mean, hopefully they review these VODs and see what they can do wrong. Whether they make those changes or not, I think there's some potential for improvement that hopefully they can make before this map's over.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of time. There's only potentially 2 rounds left for them. It looked like they were more competitive on Chalet, and right now you can see Sexy Cake doing some great work on iBlacks, and Panico isn't even really needed for his fragging
No, this has been
potential
iBlacks'
right
map by far. Like, really showing some strength. We saw some great plays from previous play day, but this has really been like a good showcase for him as a roamer and as someone that could get those good crossfires with his teammates. Just definitely showing strength there, and I like to see the other members of the team come out besides Sexy Cake. Not that his 7 frags are not contributing greatly there.
Well, 4 of them came all in 1 round, though. That 2 right there, and then I believe he got 2 more in a subsequent round, so very top-heavy in his regard. But take a look at the attackers right now, and you have FK and you have you have NK and you have Lend, FK and Lend, as your two preliminary fraggers on defense. And Silence almost gets his head taken off from those main doors.
So now they're actually down on ventilation. Now they've actually got to defend downstairs, and the attack's going to come downstairs. If they could defend it even half as well as they did when it wasn't the bomb site, the INTZ is in for some serious, INTZ is in for some serious trouble here trying to attack this, because they've got to take top and bottom in order to push this successfully, unless they can somehow push bottom like quickly. They do have a thermite to push from bathroom if they want to, which is a pretty standard attack onto the ventilation, as well as bottom, but they've got to keep them alive long enough to use them, and that hasn't been easy for them to do so, especially when it comes to Panico and iBlack's roaming around. But iBlack's almost taken off the board as he takes down FK1. That's the Hibanagon. A lot of utility off the board already. iBlack's doing his work.
Like you said, it's been his round. I don't think there's any question there at the moment, but it just looks like Lend and FK are dying so early on. They don't have any frags so far, and it's very hard to remain supportive in this regard because of the fact that both of these players really need to find some kind of groove, because right now, they're underperforming, and that's hurting their team because it's requiring the other three players to constantly carry weight that they really shouldn't have to. And you can see 3 SAS operators all lumped up in one area. A good throw from Panico, but a Claymore from Ninja as Valve tries to sneak up for a flank. And I don't know if GCR realized that there's nobody there before now he moves, but a 4v3 in favor of Encore as we are 2 rounds away, potentially, from Border being a done deal.
We're seeing it start to stall out now. They're trying to figure out where they can actually approach from here. Panico is making sure he keeps himself safe down there. You've got Vision and iBlack's ready to hold stuff up, but iBlack's down now. This is problematic for them. Sexy Cake's still up, so this is definitely something they can win 4v3 here. They've got to make some progress fast. Yeah, they don't have to plant yet, but they really need to get some more people off the board, but Sexy Cake going to do that instead. A
very aggressive roam. They guard downstairs. They roam heavy up top. They guard upstairs. They roam heavy downstairs. And now you can see that GCR is going to have to try to outduel Sexy Cake, and Sexy Cake prevails a 4v1. I don't know what is going wrong with INTZ right now, but Vision tries to peek around the corner. What a shot from Silence, but he is one touch away, and Panico, a great shot. And that's a team effort from Encore there, as now they move up 4-0 to match point. It could be a very quick debut for you here.
That was a little bit of deja vu, too. That's the second time we've seen Silence stuck outside trying to clutch, and then Panico runs out and shoots him his pulse. Like, there's clear patterns here that hopefully INTZ can learn from. But yeah, it is definitely shaping up to be a little bit short, but I've got 3 days
short
after this in a row, so might be better that way. But definitely, I would like to see at least one more round here come out from INTZ. They need to show that they can learn from what they're doing. They don't need to win this, but they need to show they can adapt. Otherwise, even going into relegations could be a problem for them. But we are going to see a different bomb site. It looks, no, ventilation room now. Bandit there on Lend. That is a nice choice. Very, very smart. He can do something useful. Batteries, barbed wire.
Anything.
Even if he picks C4 over barbed wire, I'll still give him credit for doing something more useful than those Legion things. It's just those goo mines were not working out for him. So good choice. Again, there's that adaptation. So we are in a better place, but it is a little late to be making those kind of changes. So let's hope that he's actually able to play Bandit well and not just picking him out of desperation at this point.
We'll try to determine whether this is a turning point for this team, but they find themselves facing a significant amount of adversity as we are on match point. 4-0. Encore took it 5-2 in map number 1 on Chalet, and now on Border it has been a lot more lopsided, and amazingly, the way that the community thought that this was going to be so close.
Yeah.
Statistically, this has been one of the most lopsided matches that we've seen so far this season, and it's had the closest community poll. So no real great, correspondence there between the two of them.
Maybe when money's on the line.
Yeah.
It'll be a little bit closer. But yeah, I mean, it's not too surprising considering the scores of the previous matches from these teams. You could see it heavily swing in Encore's favor. But if this goes 5-0, that's going to be a little bit of a surprise. But then again, they did 5-0 Font on Bank, and that's a map that Font should be quite good at. So this is, I guess, is not as much of a surprise, but I would like to see a surprise of at least one round here from INTZ. They've made one adaptation, and I'd like to see GCR a little bit more on that realm, or even an aggressive jump out at this point, because I can't imagine them expecting a black eye jump out. Right. I don't think they'd see that coming, especially if you catch them right in the middle of the push when Glaz is occupied or something like that. Could be a perfect time, but Glaz obviously a little prepared for it, looking for those cameras, so maybe it'd be a situation where they just can't pull it off.
My idea here, too, is they're going to try to take control of Armory upstairs, have that ability. You rely solely on a Thermite And once they manage to take control from above, have your thermite, hit that washroom or bathroom wall, and then be able to make your push inside. Now, of course, this is going to count on the roam game of Lend and FK1. So far, a duo that is not performing as well as they need to against Encore.
Yeah, in a situation, if they're playing 2 up top, they're very likely going to lose those 2 up top, and this is not going to go well. The crush is going to come down. I think you need to play 3 up top and hope they don't push you downstairs for this to work. But there goes FK1 almost dying. So this could go. He got iBlacks, who's been one of the heavy hitters. That is a good start. He is a little low in health, though. No time really for a reset, especially when he's that close to 50. So this is where GCR needs to help him out here and help him counter or crossfire so that Valve doesn't get in here, because GCR is in a good position to do so, but FK1 needs to not overexpose himself first.
And FK finally finds himself on the board too, which is significant for his team. And hey, maybe even this bandit is going to prove to be a good luck charm. Silence from below, Sexy Cake gets Ninja, so you still have 2 members right now of INTZ who are just 1 hair away from certain death. GCR are going to be able to take out Valve, and now Signs of Life from INTZ.
That's what we wanted to see. GCR doing some work, FK1 doing some work. They're a little bit low on health here, but they can make this work, especially if they take out Sexy Cake or Panico. I think they're in a good situation to take out Vision, and then that could be it. I mean, Vision's not on his usual Thatcher. So
one problem that does loom in the not-so-distant future is that Panico holds that diffuser. Sexy Cake gets FK, and oh my goodness, now Vision on GCR. Silence almost dead, so it's going to be incumbent upon Len to get back to site. The Glass holds the diffuser. 15 seconds to go between these 2 teams in what has been a romp on border in favor of Encore. And just 10 seconds, you'll see the smokes go off. They rush in. Sexy Cake finishes up Silence. It's just Lend, a 5-0 in the distance right now. If Lend is not able to be successful outside, completely exposed, he's going to try to get back in. Sexy Cake fires at him through that door, and he's going to try to break that panel, but can't do it. It's a 1v3 for INTZ, and that's it. Panico landing his final shots. INTZ goes down. Encore, a 5-0, takes it 10-2, and they will have a match.
I still give INTZ a gold star for that last round. They really tried. We saw some great play. We saw the adaptations we needed to. It wasn't GCR in the clutch that time. It was Lend. He wasn't dead early on. If they could have done that, say, 3 rounds earlier, we could see map 3 here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's an unfortunate situation, but Sexy Cake earning that MVP for a good reason. Although Panico with it last map as well. So between those 2, this team is very solid moving forward, working their way back up towards maybe winning.
Yeah, and now Encore